there's no competition in our group, which is such a blessing because oftentimes when you get a group of women together, there could just be this like spirit of competitiveness among the women, and nobody is there to one up anybody else. And I think that starting off with like very humbling stories helped us to see that quickly about each other. Like we're all just here to learn and grow. We're all here to encourage each other, and we're all living similar lives at home together.
Welcome to Simplified Organization podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing our homes and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 23 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 graduates, and author of the book Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. And today, I'm joined by one of our members inside Convivial Circle, Meghan Jackson. Meghan is a homemaker in Southern California. Her children are 9, 8, 5, and 1 on the way very soon. After teaching home ec last semester at her kids' co-op, she noticed that the moms kept saying that they wish that there was a class for them too. And Meghan had just read Simplified Organization and knew it would be a great resource for her peers and began a study group with the brand new Simplified Organization workbook and study guide. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much, Meghan, for joining me.
Having me.
So, Meghan, I'd love to hear more about your local group, like what size it is, when you got started working through Simplified Organization together. How many ladies are in the group, and how did you kind of pull them together?
So we have about 10 ladies in our group. I'd say probably 8 of them show up regularly. Like there's a mixture. So it's a really good size because it's small enough to be, people are more willing to be vulnerable when the group is a little smaller. So I really think it's the perfect size. And the way I got them together, I just texted everybody I knew because after I got all that feedback from the moms of the girls I was teaching in home ec, I realized like, I'm sure everybody just needs it. So I'm just going to text it to everyone I know and we'll see who's available. Yeah.
Nice. Now, I we've chatted a little bit about this already, so I know you kicked off your group in a really fun way. So I'd love for you to tell us about what you did in your first meeting and how that helped your group kind of come together and kick things off well.
For the first meeting, I decided to have us all share embarrassing homemaking moments. And that was really a great icebreaker. Most of us knew each other. I think there were a couple of ladies who didn't know. There's maybe one woman who didn't know most of the people there, but everybody was at least acquaintances. But it really helped to break the ice because we could all laugh together about toddler poop and like things that have happened when our mother-in-laws were over that don't seem to happen when they're not around, that kind of thing. And it really just helped us all to, it leveled the playing field. Like there's no competition in our group, which is such a blessing because oftentimes when you get a group of women together, there could just be this like spirit of competitiveness among the women, and nobody is there to one up anybody else. And I think that starting off with like very humbling stories helped us to see that quickly about each other. Like we're all just here to learn and grow. We're all here to encourage each other, and we're all living similar lives at home together. So yeah.
That's great. That's such a good idea. And I love that yeah, sets the tone for just being honest and real with one another.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I know your group is still just in the middle of the study of the work and the workbook, but how's it going so far? What have you seen develop in your group, or how are people responding?
It's going really well. Everybody's having a great time. I've had a lot of feedback from the ladies. They come and they kind of report when they show up. Oh my goodness, this happened this week. And I didn't expect this to be make such a big difference. So definitely the idea of just starting where you are and doing a little bit has been a game changer for a lot of ladies. Was for me too when I read the book. Oh, why don't I just do 5 minutes? Sometimes you get momentum and you finish it. Sometimes you don't, but at least you did something. So big game changer. thinking about their attitude, I think that was a surprise that we're so used to living in a culture that grumbles and complains and housework is drudgery. And, we're used to the language of like, oh, I'm just a mom or I'm just a housewife. Oh, yeah, I just homeschool my kid. And like kind of downplaying our roles, our vocation. And so it's been really refreshing to just to be hearing the truth about our vocation and discussing it together and it's really uplifting for all of them. One of the moms told me that we went to dinner, like 2 families got together. Both the moms are they got together for dinner, and one husband asked the other husband, "Hey, have you noticed a difference in your home since your wife started going to that book study?" And the other husband was like, "Yes, definitely." And he was surprised by his, like, definite answer. Uh, this was the same mom who decided she really needed to smile more. So I'm sure that the tone of her home has just changed because she's more joyful. And that was a funny story. She decided to smile more. It was like one of the first weeks. The next week she came and reported, like, my kids think I'm crazy because I'm smiling all the time. And they're asking me, "Why are you smiling all the time, mom?" Like, kind of like, "Why are you smiling?" And then the second week, she came back and she was like, "Everyone's smiling now." So that was really cool that the culture of her home changed by something so simple of just smiling at your people more. And I mean, we all have to be more cognizant of it. That's something that we naturally do, especially if we're thinking grumbly thoughts about the work that our people give us, you know?
For sure. Oh, that's so great. It does make such a difference. That's why I keep harping on it. I keep coming back to that as like this biggest baby step that we really can take that we downplay, but it makes such a huge difference. And I love that um her husband noticed as well. I think that is the kind of thing that husbands notice even more than keeping the house cleaner, or all those things. It's the tone of the home, and mom being happy really changes more than we realize.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So those are some takeaways. But one lady sent me an email, not the questions that you'd be asking, but you guys tell me what you want me to say. So one of the ladies realized through reading the book that she struggled with perfectionism and laziness. She just thought, oh, I have so much to do. I just had a baby. This is such a big change, which it is. But she also recognized reading and doing the study together, like, I'm actually struggling with perfectionism. I didn't even realize that was something I had. And I'm putting things off because I can't do them perfectly the first time. So it's just piling up, which is overwhelming. And I can really so she said she's had a big mindset shift. She can worry that all the work won't get done every day. And her attitude has really changed and she's much more joyful. So that's really exciting.
That is so. What does one of your group meetings then look like?
So I have been having them share the quote and I've been having them text those out. Like the day before the meeting, I'll say, okay, let's text out your favorite quotes. Because I found that if we started the meeting with that, everybody just wanted to dive right into the book. And then I'd have to kind of pause that and do the brain dump. And then it just was disjointed. So I'm like, let's just warm up by texting out the quotes. And then when we get here, we can, mingle for a little bit and then start right off with our brain dump, which was definitely awkward at first. We're not used to sitting in a room with people quietly writing things down for 10 minutes. I knew it'd be worth it, so we did it. We do it, and it really has been really good. Like, it's been so good to do that brain dump and to pray over it. Like, you suggest I think it was one of your suggestions, being like, in the introduction of the study to make sure to do it because some people have a hard time doing it at home, without that structure, so I guess it's
Yeah.
important. So, yeah, so that has really been good to do the brain dumps, and it kinda starts off of our we don't always discuss what we've dumped because some of it's pretty private or could be private, but people will kinda often bounce back to that as they're discussing what they've read, like, "Oh, yeah, and when we just thought about this, realized about myself. I need to repent here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one thing I heard from a couple little pilot groups. Actually, they turned it into a group thing before I considered turning it into a group thing. And one of the moms said, even though it is awkward to sit and brain dump when you're in a group of other moms, it's more likely to actually happen because the moms actually can be quiet and not interrupt one another. Unlike at home where it can be kind of hard to get used to carving out just those little brain dump times and actually using it to brain dump.
Stopping to do something that does not feel productive, even though it obviously is productive, but when you're kinda getting used to the habit, it doesn't feel productive to sit and write. I don't know, it can kinda that mom guilt can kinda set in, like, "Oh, but I should be doing all these other things." Like, the laundry's screaming at me over here, and my kid wants me to read a book to them, or whatever it is, and so we can put it off more easily, I think, too. So, it is so important.
Yeah, we really need that processing time because if you're just go, go, go and do all the little things only all the time, you never really step back and get that perspective that we do need.
Yeah, and about brain dumping, which is not what this is about, but done it for years, but I'd only ever written brain dumps for tasks. And in your book, you talk about writing out, like, your emotion, or how you're feeling about something, and I was like, "I never thought to brain dump that." And it has been very helpful. Just like a personal aside, that has been so helpful because there are times where I'm like, I feel anxious, I have no idea why, and I'll continue to try functioning throughout my day with this, like, icky feeling, you know what I mean, hanging over you. You can write it out. Like, usually it's actually like, "Oh, I have all these irrational fears. I need to just give them to the Lord. Now I can move on." You know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yay for brain dumping.
So was that brand new for a lot of the ladies in the group?
Think it was. Yes, I think it was. There was one lady in particular I can remember, she said, "I've never done this before." Those questions were really helpful because the brain dumps have prompts. Each week it's different prompts, so that was really helpful for her to she said I think she said she tried doing one without any prompts, and she felt a little lost, but I know that as she it'll just be it'll be great.
But what has the group dynamic shifted or what have you seen in growth in friendships or the dynamic in your group as you've gone along?
We were all everybody was acquaintances. I think there's one lady who maybe only knew me, wasn't connected with the other lady, but we're definitely much closer now. It feels like we have this, like, weekly meeting where we get to discuss the work that we do, which is common. We all have the same goal, to love our families well, to love the Lord and honor him and serve him in home. And so to be able to come together and talk about those things and, like, sharpen each other was just so fruitful. It's like a little sisterhood now about what we'll do after our work is done, but I hope we continue to meet and maybe we'll start stand up group together or something completely together, like, "How's it going?" Because 'Cause we'll start soon, and so that'll up the ante on everybody's load. Right now, we're in summer mode. We're kind of, like, taking a step back and evaluating, but the work is really gonna come soon. So, yeah. Yeah, but we're definitely I mean, we laugh so much together, it's really fun. It's really
That that's great. Yeah, I guess that schedule component is another piece of it. So you're doing it during the summer break, so there's a little bit less for a homeschool mom going on in the summer. And then what is your meeting schedule?
sweet because I had 8 weeks from when the book came out.
Yeah.
So we're meeting, like, right up till the week that he's due. So we'll see if we make it to the end. We were laughing last week, like, "Maybe you'll just come over and hang out with me in my bedroom after I have a newborn," and, but, yeah, so we're meeting weekly because of that. But I think the pacing has been good for us because everybody was so hungry for the, like, practical tips. I almost wanted to, like, rush through some of the first week things to get to the, like, do our top 3, let's learn what a weekly review is, but I had to slow myself down because it's really important to get all those the thoughts about our attitude lined up first, but I wouldn't have wanted to go slower because these girls were really hungry to, like, get to the meat of, like, "How do I do this?" And, you know, I wanna start working. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that a week, like there was enough time, a week still was enough time to do, just read the chapters. Like there is a little bit of homework. It's not much, but
Great.
that's good to hear that it works in a weekly setting.
We really don't get to all sometimes we won't discuss all of 1 chapter, 2 chapters a week.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we'll kind of go down a rabbit trail, but it's always related. Like, last week, we just ended up talking about social media use the whole time because one of the moms had a question about it, and it was a really fruitful discussion. It was the week about the chapter was on time, so I'm like, "Well, this still relates to the topic because 'cause we're talking about whether it's fruitful or not to use our time this way." So, yeah, sometimes I have to not be type A about it. Like, oh, we didn't get to every detail of every chapter, but everybody's leaving with like, so enriched that it's okay.
Yes. Yes. You don't want to be perfectionist about the anti-perfectionist.
But studied before. So I'm learning too as I go, like what how to do that. Yeah.
Well, that's so great. I'm so glad it's going well and it's fruitful in everyone's lives. That's just so great.
Last week I told them about this meeting that we were gonna have, and they all started reflecting and they were like, "This is literally changing my life." That sounds very crazy to say, but it really is. Like, I feel like my life is being changed with this study. So that's really neat. We thank you for the work that you've done. I know they're all so grateful that you wrote the book, and that as am I. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And, I think just the more cheerful, engaged moms and homemakers we can have out there, the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope to do it again with our homeschooling moms. They usually do a couple book studies a year at our co-op. So I'm hoping to do it in the spring too. So
Thank you so much, Megan, for doing the study with your local group and then for coming on and sharing with us about it.
we thank you for having me.
You too can have a local group working through Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done, and make talking shop about homemaking normal in your local circles. The brand new workbook for Simplified Organization will make it open and go easy for your local group to begin homemaking accountability and live out Titus 2. The workbook is available at my shop or on Amazon. You can find a link in the description below or go to simplifiedorganization.com. It will help you and your friends repent, rejoice, repeat.